Now on Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com. More FEMA help is coming to several Crossroads counties following Hurricane Beryl. And a local community has an update on the search for a dog they believe is in danger and in need of help. We have the update. Plus, the latest on the trials connected to the death of Matthew Perry. The details just ahead.
And believe it or not, we actually still have a slight chance of seeing a tropical depression forming right off of our coast here in the next 24 to 36 hours. But get a load of this. Not only that is coming our way, we've also got a cool front this weekend. We'll take a look at all of that in the weather coming up.
Goliad Tigers volleyball player Maven Wunsch is having a great year for the Tigerettes. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads. Nice to see you on this 5th day of September.
Yes, and guess what today is? It's Friday Eve.
That's right,
We're
Parker.
one day closer to the weekend.
There's a lot of things happening tonight.
Yes.
There's football. It's still hurricane season.
Yep, and we're still watching that low in the Gulf. So
that's right. You've been posting around the clock, Parker, about the tropics.
Yes, because very peculiarly, nobody else is talking about that. But we're going to take a look at that here in just a second because I'm sure a lot of y'all are wondering about that. But right now, none of us are seeing rain this morning. Surprisingly, we're also looking at that radar in just a second because right now here in Victoria, it's 76 degrees and your dew point about 1 degree off from your temperature, bringing your humidity to 97%. So like I said, definitely plenty humid out there. Pretty nice out there as well. Also looks pretty busy for this time of the morning, but I'm not really expecting any fog out there this morning because we got this low that's right off our coast, providing a tad bit of mixing in our atmosphere this morning. And in fact, looking at your radar, as promised, you can see pretty clear this morning. A big change from what we've seen all week long. Well, we had lots of showers out there, but as we go into the afternoon, I think we're going to have a few showers out there. I got chances of rain at 40%, but looking at why we're not going to see as much rain today is because we're going to be on the western side of whatever kind of system this is. Like I said, I think it could be a tropical depression as we go into this evening and maybe even tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, but we're going to have plenty more details on that coming up later on Sunrise because we do still have a flood watch in effect until this afternoon at 1 p.m. for today. That's going to be because especially those folks along the immediate coast, you're going to have a much better shot at any kind of rain today because you're going to be right next to that warm Gulf of water where there's lots more lift, but inland counties not going to experience too much in terms of rain today. So if you're seeing your kiddos at the door this morning, if you're in the inland counties, I'm going to say no umbrella needed, but if you're along the coast, umbrella needed, I'm thinking, for today. So if you're seeing your kiddos at the door, like I said, it's going to be nice out there today, 88 degrees with some cloud cover. But coming up and later on Sunrise, actually next in the full forecast, we'll look at the timing for that rain and also look at that tropical depression. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. State troopers arrested a 19-year-old Wednesday in connection to a crash that killed 2 teenagers in Van Vleck. The Bay City Sentinel reports Kanye Williams of Bay City faces 2 second-degree felony charges for a collision that killed 19-year-old Kylie Fulmar and 17-year-old Haley Matchett from Van Vleck. The DPS says they were passengers in the vehicle Williams drove. The crash occurred early Monday morning in Van Vleck. Williams was driving a 2016 BMW that collided with a 1998 Cadillac Coupe de Ville and struck a utility pole. The vehicle caught fire after the crash. 2 more counties in the Crossroads will get FEMA help after Hurricane Beryl. Governor Greg Abbott announced that the federal government has added Calhoun and Jackson counties to the Hurricane Beryl Major Disaster Declaration. Those counties are now eligible for reimbursement for work through FEMA's Public Assistance Program. Matagorda and Wharton counties are already getting FEMA help after Hurricane Beryl. FEMA can help with emergency protective measures and debris removal. FEMA representatives at the Palacios Pavilion this week, they're helping residents with paperwork and federal assistance after Hurricane Beryl. The pavilion is at 693 South Bay Boulevard. They'll be there from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. through Saturday. And we have an update from one of the volunteers helping look for a stray dog in Port Lavaca. Angel Lopez, a volunteer, says they have located Cheeto, but they're struggling to capture him. There are 4 to 5 people with them trying to safely capture Cheeto. He's a blue-nosed pit bull and has a plastic bucket stuck on his head. The container has been there for at least 4 days, preventing him from being able to eat or drink. Come to CrossroadsToday.com for more updates as they are made. An investigation by local officials uncovered the cause of repeated fire alarms at Victoria West High School. The alarms were triggered on Tuesday, August 27th and Thursday, August 29th, leading to evacuations. Students and staff were able to return to class each time after the fire department gave the all clear. VISD's maintenance department, along with the fire department, identified a faulty duct detector as the culprit. The detector was replaced and they say the issue is fixed. We have new details about next week's presidential debate. The rules have now been announced just as Vice President Harris and former President Trump visited two swing states.
In just 5 days, former President Trump and Vice President Harris will take the debate stage. And now ABC News clarifying that the candidates' microphones will be muted when it's not their turn to speak. They won't be allowed to bring any notes with them, and they won't be allowed to question each other during the debate. Overnight, Trump fielding questions at a Fox News town hall in Pennsylvania, painting a dark picture of the current state of the nation and blaming the Biden administration.
With these clowns that you have in there now, you're going to end up having World War III. If she gets in, I think we will have a depression.
Trump taking aim at Harris's economic plan.
If you let the Trump tax cuts expire, you will suffer the biggest tax increase in history.
Harris in New Hampshire unveiled more economic proposals, including how she plans to help more Americans start small businesses.
Part of my plan is we will expand the tax deduction for startups to $50,000.
Harris is also proposing a lower tax on capital gains than President Biden proposed.
We know when the government encourages investment, it leads to broad-based economic growth.
The current maximum tax rate on capital gains is 23.8%. Harris is pitching a 28% rate. President Biden has called for nearly 40%. Meanwhile, Harris has picked up an endorsement from a high-profile Republican, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who has railed against Trump for his alleged role in the January 6th riot.
Because of the danger that Donald Trump poses, not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris.
M. Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
The town of Winder, Georgia is reeling after a shooter opened fire at Appalachia High School, killing 4 people and injuring 9 others. Local officials confirmed that the suspect is alive and in custody. The suspect was identified as 14-year-old Colt Gray, a student at the school. Gray surrendered immediately after being confronted by police and will be charged with murder and handled as an adult. It's not known how Gray got a hold of the gun or how he brought it into the school. Later, we'll go to Washington for more. The trials of 2 people charged in connection to the death of Matthew Perry won't start until next year. One of Perry's doctors and his alleged ketamine dealer notified a federal judge Tuesday they've agreed to delay their trials, both of which pled not guilty. Both are indicted on charges they illegally supplied the drugs that killed the Friends actor. Perry was 54 when he was found unresponsive in the swimming pool last October at his home. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now, looking at our clock, it is 6:38 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. First responders found something potentially dangerous in a safe.
I'm ABC's M. Nguyen in Washington. 4 people are dead after a school shooting in Georgia, where we're learning about the suspect and how the alleged shooter was on law enforcement radar for more than a year. The latest coming up.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast, we'll take a look at the time for any possible rain coming away today. We'll also look at your weather and health forecast. And coming up later on Sunrise, we're going to take another look at your marine forecast. We'll also look at everything going on in the Gulf and the tropics. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live in Cuero. Another warm and humid one out there. Actually, not too warm. It's actually kind of nice out there right now. Also very cloudy, as you notice on the camera in Cuero. Sitting at 75 in Cuero right now, but you're 2.2 degrees off from your temperature, bringing your humidity to 92%. So definitely plenty of humid out there. Again, we're not really expecting anything in terms of fog out there this morning because we got lots of mixing in the atmosphere with your low pressure system right off Vira Coast, about 100 miles away. But looking at your future quadrant radar for today, I've got rain chances today at 40%, bumping down to 30% tomorrow. And why we're not really seeing too much in terms of rain today is because we're going to be on the western kind of dry side of this tropical, low pressure system. we're not calling it a depression yet, but we're going to look at that later on sunrise, because looking at your future radar today, you can see this is the latest computer run. You can see as we go into the morning, there's not too much out there in terms of rain. There might be some isolated stuff right along the immediate coast, but other than that, as we go into the afternoon time, I think that's going to be our best shot for any rain in the inland counties, because here's 1 p.m. sometime after noon or 1 p.m. we're going to start seeing some showers develop. I'm not expecting any thunderstorms out there today, but it'll start becoming a little bit more isolated, maybe tad scattered going into the late afternoon. Before in the evening, it should start cutting back to mostly cloudy and then partly cloudy skies. But for today, looking at your rain totals, if you do see some rain today, you might pick up a quick ½ inch, but otherwise, folks along the I think this computer is actually underestimating the rain today. Folks along the coast, y'all might see a little bit more in terms of rain than that. But with the clouds and the possible rain today, we're going to be in the upper 80s again. Most of us, this computer thinks 91. And other good news is pollen's not too bad today. That's moderate all across the board. Air quality is good, and your UV index, that's going to be high with a few peaks of sunshine. But we've got one more day of rain possible before our front comes our way this weekend. But like I said, coming up next, we're going to look at the tropics. But now here's sports.
All right, everyone, so we're going to do our sports block today. We're talking about Maven Wunsch from Goliad. She's putting up some great numbers this season and has been a main piece for the Tigerettes volleyball team.
Earlier, we highlighted Goliad volleyball, but their upcoming season with libero Carolyn Youngblood and head coach Jess Odom. But another great player we were sleeping on was junior Maven Wunsch, who's putting up great numbers this season. So what makes her perform like this on the court every night? She gave us two things that are her secret sauce.
Energy drinks. I have one at least every game day. I try to, so I could stay hype and stay energetic for my team. But other people really get me hype and energetic too, like Isabel, our setter. She and Addison and Carol, they all get us hype and stuff.
Now, besides having some energy drinks before each game, Wunsch also has excelled at being a leader this season. She talks about some of the people that have helped her get to that leadership status.
Pretty fun. I mean, people around you are very supportive and stuff. Like my mom, she helps me she tells me how to take care of a situation and all that.
With Wunsch wanting to be more of a leader this season, her and the entire Lady Tigerettes team still have one goal in mind this season.
State, but just making it far is pretty good for a young team like us, because from last year losing 2 seniors and then losing to Columbus for the 3rd time, that really helped us motivate to get up and stuff.
Wunsch, the entire Lady Tigerettes team is hoping for major success the rest of the season after already starting 22-3 so far.
This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Thank you, Max. All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. Now to the deadly school shooting at a Georgia high school. New details about possible misread flags around the 14-year-old gunman accused of killing 4 people, including 2 students his age.
This morning, shock and sadness in the wake of another school shooting in America, this time in Georgia. 2 teachers and 2 students now dead after a 14-year-old gunman opened fire at Appalachia High School. Investigators uncovering new details about the alleged gunman, saying agents received tips in May of last year about threats to commit a school shooting, determining that the threats came from then 13-year-old Colt Gray.
Sadly, this is a pretty common occurrence with mass attackers.
The FBI saying the father stated he had hunting guns in the house, but that his son did not have unsupervised access to them, adding there was no probable cause for agents to take action against him. Authorities believe the teen acted alone on Wednesday using an AR-style rifle to open fire inside the school.
Let's move with purpose, come on.
Students scrambling for shelter in classrooms and eventually the football stadium.
A lot of people were crying. It was like everybody was scared, and people were screaming, calling their moms and everything.
School resource officers engaged within minutes. Authorities say the suspect gave up immediately. The community now mourning those who were killed. Students Mason Skirmahorn and Christian Angulo, both 14, and teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina Irimi.
This is everybody's worst nightmare.
This marks at least the 45th school shooting this year in the U.S. and the deadliest. Last night, hundreds gathered at a candlelight vigil near the school.
I still don't believe this is real.
President Biden saying lives were cut short due to senseless gun violence. Again, calling on Congress to pass more gun control, like banning assault weapons. Meanwhile, 9 other victims are in the hospital. All are expected to be okay. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
China first responders found something potentially dangerous at a jewelry store. A booby trap device was found inside a vintage safe. The device, designed to stop safe crackers, had a liquid that was used in World War I as a chemical irritant. 2 first responders put on hazmat clothing and carefully removed the potentially dangerous chemicals, placed them in an airtight container for proper disposal. The time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, the start of the NFL's regular season gets underway tonight. This year's season is expected to bring in billions of dollars. Find out for whom and how. All right, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Beetlejuice and one of my favorite Batman actors. Michael Keaton is turning 73 today, and we can't forget about Birdman.
Ooh, happy birthday, Michael. Definitely can't say his name 3 times. Beetlejuice. Don't say it one more time. And American actress and activist Rose McGowan, the charmed actress, she's turning 51 today. Happy birthday, Rose.
All right, to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com, click on the drop-down menu, then click on the home tab, and you'll see submit your birthday photo.
That's right. The time is now 6:48 on your Thursday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating with us today.
All right, and stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, I'm sure a lot of y'all are wondering what is going on right off of our coast. Well, if you've been tuning in with us ever since like 2 weeks ago, we had talked about this tropical wave that came off the west coast of Florida, and it hanged out in the Gulf for a couple days, and now we've got a little spin off of our coast. And now with a few days worth of spin in a row, now we have a possible, you can actually see here, this is the last 6 hours radar loop. You can actually see now we have a closed circulation starting to form literally 100 miles off of our coast. Now looking at your future tracker for the rest of today, going all the way into midnight Saturday morning, you could see as we go all the way into tomorrow, you can see this computer tries to spin up maybe a weak tropical depression as we go. Actually, this computer thinks a tropical storm is going to form. I think if anything happens with this system, chances of development are at 50 to 60%. I think if anything, a tropical depression will come out of this. So winds could be sustained between 30 to 40 miles an hour as it starts approaching this way. But what's really interesting is I have no idea what direction this wave is going to go, because this is one computer model. Other models are also suggesting development, but they're also saying it could go south or southeast, maybe a little bit more east. So I'm going to have much more details as we come through the rest of today as well. So stay tuned to crossroadstoday.com. But look at your future wind gusts for today. It's going to be a little bit breezy today. Wind gusts in the inland counties between 25 to 30 miles an hour, but a little bit breezier tomorrow, I think between 30 to 35. All that because that low is right off our coast. But what's quite peculiar is the National Hurricane Center has no interest in this wave off our coast. So any details, you're going to have to get it from me, and I'm going to have more details on that coming up later on Sunrise. Back to Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. Are you ready for some football? The start of the NFL regular season gets underway tonight with the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Betting on sports is now live and legal in 38 states and Washington, D.C. The American Gaming Association announced its first ever legal wagering estimate for the NFL season. AGA predicts that Americans will bet on a record amount of legal sports books this season, $35 billion. That will be a 30% increase from the previous NFL season's legal wagering estimate. And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We want to know, have you ever placed a bet on sports? Okay, let's take a look. 36% of you say yes, and 64% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing one of the biggest counties in the state over a voter registration outreach effort. On Tuesday, county officials in Bexar County approved an effort that would mail unsolicited voter registration forms to roughly 210,000 people. Bexar County is where San Antonio is located, and it overwhelmingly voted for President Biden in 2020. In the complaint, Paxton is arguing that it is illegal for county officials to arrange for such a mass mailing of unsolicited voter registration forms. And that voter registration deadline is right around the corner. Go to our website, crossroadstoday.com, to learn more. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. A foreign country has spent millions to influence social media. Learn which one after the break. The Biden administration says Russia has spent millions to influence the U.S. election and other issues through social media. The Justice Department says it has indicted 2 employees of the Kremlin media arm, RT. It alleges that they were part of an almost $10 million scheme to set up and direct a Tennessee-based front company. A U.S. official identifies it as Tenet Media, which lists Benny Johnson and Tim Pool on its website. The Justice Department says it's also cracking down on Russia's use of fake profiles and phone use websites. Attorneys for Donald Trump are making a last-ditch effort to delay the former president's sentencing for falsifying business records. They asked a federal appeals court on Wednesday for a stay, at least until the appellate judges can hear their legal argument to move Trump's hush money case into federal court. The sentencing, currently scheduled for September 18th, could result in Trump's immediate incarceration. The former president faces as much as 4 years in prison. Texas Republicans have been trying to reduce the state's high property taxes for years. State officials say the state would need about $81.5 billion a year to end property taxes. That's more than half of the $144 billion that lawmakers allocated for Texas's current 2-year budget. Read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now we do have time for a final check of our forecast. Parker, yesterday we got some rain. Me and the dogs, we love watching that rain come down. Are we going to see the same today?
No, actually, I've got chances today at 40%. I actually may end up bumping it down even more to 30% today, because we're going to look at that. You're going to look at your forecast here in just a second, because if you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live in Port Lavaca. It's another nice and humid morning out there, quite cloudy as well, with that low pressure system right next to us. But 79 degrees down there, quite warm, especially next to that warm, hot waters. 77-degree dew point, 2 degrees off there, bringing humidity to 94%. So lots and lots of humidity out there. Not really expect any fog. But looking at your radar, like I said, you did just see, we've been talking about this all morning. No rain out there on our radar this morning, but like Carolina was just asking, if you think we're going to see rain today, it's not super likely. And why that is because we're going to be on the western side, the dry side, per se, of this little tropical system that we've been talking about all morning, ever since last week. You can actually see it trying to really start to spin up here right off of the Galveston Bay coast and right off of our coast as well. But looking at your forecast for Port Lavaca today, y'all are going to have a much better shot than anybody else in the Crossroads of seeing rain. Getting up to about 86, I'm thinking, with your best shot for rain going to be in the afternoon time, although you might see some in the morning time. And in Victoria, I'm thinking the best shot for rain is going to be in the afternoon, especially the mid-afternoon, about 88 today. And Cuero, about the same thing, 88 today, with the right around the afternoon time for the rain. Oh, but look at this. The National Hurricane Center is now watching our little area of interest right off the coast. And this is actually just now updated, so this confirms what I've been talking about ever since 2 weeks ago. So that makes me a happy meteorologist. But make sure to please stay tuned for more updates on the system as we go into later today. You can find that on crossroadstoday.com.
All right, Parker, thank you so much, and thank you for that update. And be sure to follow Parker on Facebook. He's meteorologist Parker Cox. And be sure to tune tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Make sure you're registered to vote.